we have got one more game in this series. Whoa, spoiler alert, Pigeon. You can't. No, there can only be one more game. It's a best of 3 between RecoN and BruH. And what better way to decide it than a mirror matchup as the French? Let's get to it. This one, by the way, I didn't want any spoilers, but I've been told is a banger. All right? It's a gem. It's C'est la Magnifique. And I'm looking forward to seeing these two in their magnificence as Le Magnifique French in high view. And I've made my opinion on this one before. You know, I felt it was a little bit crafty, the bans of high view, because high view, Delhi, Rus, and Mongols were the 3 civs that were always banned in the off-meta combat. I found it a bit funky the French got through. And it's not even because I think the French are dominant on this map. It's just because I feel like so many players think the French are dominant on this map. Now, that sounds like a contradiction. Obviously, I'm not a pro player. I'm not one of the top 8, the top 20, whatever. But from what I've been watching, I feel like I watch French lose more frequently than win because of the generations. It might be that the new changes, the new patch, like with the seeding changes, are a little bit more generous. But historically, I've always had an issue with where the gold veins spawn for the French. It tends to be out in no man's land. These ones are actually really reasonable, by the way. And that's why I think this is going to be a very exciting match, as they both got retracted gold lines that are in range of their TC. This hasn't been the norm for many weeks. Months, even. Because Highview historically has done something more comparative to this to French players. Or any player, in fact. And it's why the Mongols have felt finicky at times. It's why the French have felt finicky a lot of the time. By the way, Mongols, another one that was one of the most popular bans for this, or was one of the 3 that weren't allowed, was also a little bit surprising because I felt like Mongols was kind of really very much on the timer, shall we say. Like the Uvu needed to be well placed, and also they kind of suffered on moving out to the gold lines just because of the lack of vision in the forest. But I think that ban more to me spoke to the power of Mongols than it did to this specific map, which is why Mongols and Delhi are the most banned civs by the 64 players. I believe the plan is to have another round of bans for the 2nd week, just to confirm what people want. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more Rus bans in there than we already did. But you know what? Enough nerding about that. We need to focus on what's happening here. Bunch of sheep are being dragged back. This is very good. On the other side, RecoN hasn't returned yet. And oh, wow, he went... Did he go for a second one? Yeah, he did. Okay. I was worried for a sec there. If that was all he was returning in sheep, this would have been pretty crippling. The reason being is that if you get enough sheep, as the French, it allows you to extend the safety net underneath your TC where you're gathering and you can't be raided. This is a very important detail in a mirror matchup between tempo civs. Tempo civs being those that get aggressive, try to lock timings, and try to drag the game out at an earlier point. The French are one of those. And the reason this is good for BruH is it means that now he can keep his villagers safe underneath his TC for longer, while RecoN, in theory, could end up being forced down to the berry line or being forced down the deer line much sooner, which means these knights could raid in and insta-kill them off. School cavalry is being built up in the meantime. Curious to see if someone's going to be going for pro scouts in this game. We haven't seen a Rax plop down on either side yet. Not too surprising considering that right now it's kind of a who blinks first. Right, in a mirror matchup, the best case scenario is if you can get your opponent to pivot earlier than you into a unit type, because then you can build the counter straight away. And the importance of this is at this early point in the game, your opponent has invested 150 resources, which is now moot. That's before what they invest in the units they build from it. RecoN, he still hasn't gone for a wheelbarrow yet, whereas you can see BruH, he's prepping for it. Just needs to sort his wood. Huh. Interesting that RecoN is delaying this. I think the reasoning behind him delaying wheelbarrow here is to get the first knight out quicker, whereas his resources might be a little bit too tight to be able to afford wheelbarrow plus first knight, depending on his tech up timing. Because usually you do rush towards wheelbarrow in conjunction with your feudal as the French, due to the fact it's so much cheaper. In fact, BruH still hasn't gone for it himself. And yeah, I think this is because they're considering prioritizing the first knight, but there we go. He gets the switch up now. Still nothing out of RecoN, though. For those wondering about these discounts I'm talking about, the French, you get 30% off, right? It's beautiful. No one else gets this deal. It's like, you know when you have that person who keeps talking about all those cool discount deals they're getting on Uber Eats and you never get any? That's the French. They're always getting deals. As not only are their melee techs free in the blacksmith, but all their eco techs are 30% cheaper. On top of that, what if you could just pay half the price for all of your eco gathering buildings like the mills and camps? Well, you get that too. And there we go. Tech up complete. First knight coming out. Now, BruH, he has delayed his timing slightly, but he has got enough to afford the raw knight. So this to me just seems like a weird kind of suboptimal play maybe out of RecoN, unless the intent was this, to go into the racks, and then possibly the other play here is now he delays the mill to go into pro scouts. It's the only thing that kind of makes sense of this, right? It does feel weird that one player is going to have wheelbarrow for what's going to feel like 3 minutes longer than their opponent. Because remember that wheelbarrow is not a quick tech. As you can see there, it takes 1 minute and 30 seconds to research. BruH, in the meantime, just spotting out the pocket eco expansion from RecoN. And this is another area where like wheelbarrow feels even better to have sooner, right? Like he's gone for survival techniques, but if he pushes more villagers out here, it's a lot of idle time. This is another reason why the French absolutely love going for wheelbarrow, by the way, is because they play a lot of pocket economies, i.e. they move out instead of returning stuff to their main base, right? They have a branch off base away from home. They're going to have a lot of idle time running to and fro these new resources. And it means that wheelbarrow is incredibly efficient, as you can see, increasing your movement speed by 15%. That's before we even talk about the fact that you get the increased carry capacity, right? Which matters a lot when you're doing these pocket ecos like berries and deer, which aren't stacked right next to your town center the same way sheep are. So, RecoN gets an eyeball around the back, trying to see what's happening, but you can see BruH is actually prepping the second stable in the front, and that means that it's unknown. However, there is already a counter in place. Remember, RecoN went very early into the racks. Once he done this, he really did show his intent to be defensive. The question is, what for? Like, what is your end goal now? Once you've gone into the spears like this, is your intent to go for a secondary TC? Are you thinking of going castle quicker? He does have the knights in the field. The question is whether he's going to continue investing in them long term, or if it's a small raiding force while he now pads his economy for a later tech timing. At the moment, this knight's getting a lot of value as well. Snipes out one of the villagers and gets away for free. RecoN wasn't in position with the spears quick enough, but now he's going to try and punish him the same way. Moves in. As it stands, BruH is unhinged. Unhindered, rather. Unhinged would be the other way, as he does not lose a single villager here. Builds him back just in time. A funky opening for RecoN. I'm still not seeing like the overarching plan here. It kind of feels like he hasn't staked a flag in the ground and said, this is my win condition, right? In theory, like he could be going for a second TC or a castle boom just because he's saving a lot on going pro scouts. You know, spears are an effective unit to defend you versus having to go for a slurry of outposts. But I feel like now, because BruH is doubling down on knights, RecoN's going to be dragged into feudal fervor. This is the benefit of doing this as the French. It's why it's so strong. Like, it's the go-to strategy time and time again, because once they start hard investing into knights, because they are such a phenomenally good diving unit, any other civ that plays against them, even the French themselves, gets dragged back into feudal. And that's why you really have to find efficient trades, which right now he's not able to do. BruH, I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting chivalry soon. Yep, already being researched. Does need the blacksmith still. Interesting that he hasn't got that down. He can afford it. Remember, once you get the blacksmith down, you instantly get the melee research for free as the French, which is a really big deal because it allows you to insta-snipe villagers down with a 1-2 tap. As you charge in, you smash them for the 30, and then you follow up with a tap of the sword, and bye-bye villagers. We'll see if he addresses it next. It does feel like he should be getting it by now. He could definitely afford it. Is there at least wheelbarrow now for RecoN as well? Wow, RecoN! This is kind of getting out of control how late this is. We're 9 minutes in. He still hasn't even thought about going wheelbarrow. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that RecoN is such a high-level and talented player, I would almost say, has he forgotten about it? But I can't imagine that's the case. Knights right in. That's a freebie. Just tap the sword once and ride beyond. And the spears, they at least get close quickly once they get in charge mode, as you can see there. But then they go down to 1.25, and they're never able to actually catch up. Knights away from home. Even if they clash them right now, they'll get 2 or 3 hits, but they won't be able to stop BruH from retreating. He should definitely look to charge into this, though. It's free damage, and you might snipe 1 or 2 of the knights. Here we go. Needs to target the low health ones. Doesn't, though. Gets engaged for a moment. BruH quick to shift past that. means he will be able to get away. So far, BruH definitely getting better value, and now the spear's starting to come into the mixer. He made the switch, and I'm not even sure if RecoN saw this. His vision has been very stripped for the last minute or two. In fact, I think he's only got one scout in the field, and that one's being used defensively back at home, just to make sure he gets the early warning about the raiding onto his pocket eco. His pocket eco that now has 2 mils, and finally we get wheelbarrow. He's done it. It's underway. But it is still a hefty 40 seconds away, so it's going to be 11 minutes in before wheelbarrow is researched in a mirror matchup, and I really do think it's made the difference. Especially even more so when you consider that RecoN was going with his pocket ecos, whereas BruH was more delayed, right? He relied on the berries before shifting out onto the deer. Spears fighting each other. Knights can actually clash here. This is really good for the Knights now because the Spears are distracted. They don't get the brace, and they're not even prioritizing the right target. Instead, he gets baited. He chases after one. Oh, no. RecoN will now re-engage on the Knights. Takes 1 or 2 of them down. BruH, a little bit off the micro there. A little bit pricey for him. Looks like RecoN will be able to retreat away. Another Knight goes down, though, and all of a sudden, BruH is getting the better side of this. And it's heavy damage done to all these Spearmen. Just one tap away from death. RecoN, he hasn't even snuck in onto the wood line just yet. He's in chill vibing mode right now. I do love these little walls out of RecoN, by the way. It seems kind of weird, like, oh, but he can still be raided on the west, he can still be raided on the east. Yeah, but it gives him a safe reset point. As you move further and further away from your TC, it's nice to have these small gaps that you can simply palisade gate. Reason being is if an opponent comes on the west side and chases you, you just run through and they have to run all the way around the wood line. And you just create this awkward Benny Hills back and forth as you just dip through the palisade gate the other side. It gives you options that otherwise wouldn't be there. And it's not pricey either, right? Like, it's tiny pieces of wall here. So you pay, like, what, 40 wood total with that? Fight underway. RecoN really starting to get the better side of this. BruH, he's being greedy now. He's not respecting the investment by his opponent. Like, in fairness, RecoN has actually put a fair amount into layering himself, right? He's put the back wall line here. He's talked about this one over here. He's dropped an outpost out near the deer stack as well. And he's stationed spears defensively. So I feel like BruH is not giving the appropriate amount of respect over to his opponent for the amount of defenses he's layered in. And you can see it on the military count, right? Like, BruH is behind. Slightly up on the eco, but it's an inconsequential difference. He needs to respect the fact that throwing away Knights pointlessly like this is a heavy loss at this stage. Especially considering that he's trying to lay off a military force as it stands, almost being halfway to teching up. So you can see his intent was to kind of do that classic, me poke you, you get annoyed, you double invest, and then me tech up. Don't know why they're cavemen when they say these things. I mean, I guess in a way the French is kind of elegant but simple in the way they play. But now, because he's throwing away units like this, it makes him look weaker, and it means that RecoN can posture aggressively, which is the worst-case scenario for BruH. Because if RecoN does posture aggressively, the moment that tech up ticks over, he will run straight in and attack you. And another Knight goes down. And I don't think he even got the villager that time. Textiles upgrade came through. Nice choice by RecoN. Very important choice as well. Remember what we talked about, right? These Knights, they're able to 1-2 tap. Once they have that upgrade, that melee upgrade, they're able to lance in, and then they get bonus damage for 3 seconds afterwards. That first strike of sword means that a 50 health unit dies in 2 hits, as opposed to 3 without that blacksmith tech. But now that option is gone. But the option still remains for RecoN because BruH never bothered to get textiles. It looks like he still isn't going to. Because he's greedy. He doesn't want to sacrifice his tech timing. Instead, he might be forced to sacrifice more of his villages. There we go. He's going to plop it down. It is going to be the guild hall. Question is, what does RecoN do himself? He has to assume this is coming, right? You can see your opponent is getting weaker on the count. He hasn't really been layering himself. Like, the fact you were able to access the gold line so freely speaks volumes to how small BruH's army must be. The fact that he also hasn't raided into you too much recently, it's screaming out, right? RecoN, he's a smart cookie. He'll understand his opponent is getting weaker. The question is, what can he do about it in the meantime? Spear forces, mostly even. Slight edge to BruH. The Knights chased away by a few. And that garrison, that's exploitable for RecoN. RecoN, he sees it now, he chases. Uh-oh. Several villages may fall here. It's still only 50 health. Strikes into him. It's a worthwhile trade. But he only gets 1 for his trouble. And has to peel away. But now more Knights on the way. Spears as well. three-pronged attack right now. So RecoN maybe could just distract BruH on multiple counts. And it looks like he did shift in and slow down the tech-up timing. RecoN, he's doing the French the right way. He's dragging BruH's attention to 5 different locations at once, and BruH is not liking it. BruH will at least return the favor. Sneaks in, snipes 1 or 2 of the Villies. But RecoN will feel the need to push this now. Tech up comes through. RecoN is 4 eco ahead. He wants to make it at least 6, 7, maybe even 8, so he can quickly race up behind his opponent. Jason in, Spears is just going to peel away, so the town center is able to defend and fire upon RecoN's troops. And now RecoN, he switches over. Uh-oh. He sees everything he needs to. Spears are in, and they block them. The mosh pit of stabs coming out. That's going to be 3 going down. BruH starting to sink on the eco side. As RecoN now almost 10 villages up over BruH. The Knights, oh, that's not enough Spears. He will shift across, though. So unlikely RecoN will be able to exploit maximum value here. Instead, he's just going to do a little bit of a cruise by. Check that everything's well in the neighborhood. Like your friendly neighborhood policeman. It's like, ma'am, yep, I see you're just out collecting your garbage. No jewels here for me to rob. Wait, that's not how police work. Oh, no, RecoN, buddy. Whew. Whew. I think that Royal Knight felt a breeze coming up behind him, as those very long sticks were very close to ending his life. But RecoN now underway. And the remarkable thing is the aggression is kept up. And look at this as well, the Spears. Even more value. And that's a bait. That was all a bait. BruH spent so long chasing after those Knights. It means he's denied on the food front. He's going to lose 1 or 2 additional ones of his villagers. He's going to lose more if he's not careful. The Knights are roaming across, but it looks like the Spears are quick to react. And I think RecoN, he's going to throw this away for maybe 1 or 2 more kills. That size against that last second, but still ends up paying a price on the retreat. But the important detail through all this is notice that BruH hasn't really been to his opponent's side of the map. He's now only marching out with Spears, and it means that by the time he arrives, RecoN's going to be teched up. And RecoN hasn't slowed down on replacing the lost troops, so he will have a defense force in place to hold his opponent at bay. And once you reach that stage, it becomes an out-ecoing situation, right? Like, BruH is 8 units behind. The Guildhall has padded himself a little bit here. RecoN's going to make up the difference because he went for his own Guildhall. Spearman moving in, trying to burn down the outpost. Tech up is there. Now he needs to get the upgrades out. He queues it up instantly. 60 seconds away. The villagers, oh no! They can't even move. BruH is so quick on that shift. He got all around the tower to ensure none of them could leave. Beautiful play. But don't worry, RecoN's got his own C'est la Magnifique moments. He moves in again. Still no textiles for BruH. It means he keeps that lead. It's now 8 between them again. Spears not able to get any deeper. Not able to access across the Deers due to the Palisade location. They're going to wrap around with the gold, but the gold's almost depleted anyway, so RecoN's going to shift away from here. And he's already going to the north side, so this is a bad time for BruH. However, RecoN, he notices it a little bit late. It costs him 1 villager. That spear upgrade is coming soon as well. RecoN is almost ready to fight. He's also going to insulated helms. He's trying to get more melee resistance here. He's going to take the fight now. Tech up should be coming through in 2 seconds, and there it is. And now those numbers are even. Heavy damage on both sides, but it looks like the edge is going to be there for RecoN as he'll be able to sweep through and clean up the vanguard from BruH. And in the retreat, going to lose a few more as well. Nice fight, nice timing, beautifully done by RecoN. So many players are impatient about this. They'll start that fight sooner. But RecoN, he hits this perfect timing where he looks weak, so BruH engages, seeing that they are just crappy hardened spearmen. By the time the line to fully flesh out, where you'll be doing maximum damage with your tech up advantage, the tech comes through and BruH can't take it anymore because he already took heavy hits to that spearman formation a long time ago. And this is the worst part for BruH as well. He couldn't reinforce the fights, right? These Knights have never stopped. The only thing that stopped in relation to Knights is BruH's investment in them. Because he's behind economically, he realizes that he can't keep up with the pace of RecoN's production. And it means he has to go for something more cost efficient. And while arbitraries are more cost efficient, they're also less tanky, they cannot heal, and they cannot roam. And that's why he's been running back and forth across his base when really he needed to be pushing reinforcements to try and hit this timing into BruH's base, or RecoN's base, rather. Knights moving out again. Oh, the freebies. That's worth it for one Knight. This is just getting a little bit too problematic. I mean, you look at the eco lead. It's up to 9 again. And RecoN, he's now going to the Horseman. Charging with the spears. They're not going to be held back in this choke point, not by a measly 5. And the villagers will have to peel back, and that's idle eco again. And he'll just shift deeper, moving across the gold line, which is still exposed. He hasn't shifted them across just yet. And the concern is, what does BruH really get from this palisade? Berries. That's it. He's not getting gold. And even though he's shrunk the gold demand in his economy by switching off of Knights, it's still there because he's going for Arbalatrias. Arbalatrias cost 40 gold each. So it is imperative to BruH's scalability that he finds a new gold line and does it very soon. Even more so now with this. I mean, the monastery, you'll eventually get gold trickle. But initially, there's an investment of monks. And those monks cost 150 gold, and they're going out to no man's land, where there's spears and knights waiting around every corner. You genuinely feel like a noble running around on the highways with highwaymen behind every tree. You know what? His purse doesn't get snatched this time. He got a little bit ruffled, but he does get the first relic back. Second one might be hard contested, though. RecoN, he is in position, but he's blind, so it looks like 2 are going to be going the way. And I'm not sure if RecoN, like, consciously clocked it or if it was just auto-aggro when the priest was out. I assume he saw this, so he knows his opponent has gone into the religion. The question is whether RecoN wants to do it himself. At the moment, BruH... Oh, no. Like, this... This is very quickly turning into game 1 again. Although the walls are better defended this time. However, they're less defendable with half the health of Fortified Palisade. This is very much just game 1 again, isn't it? Not too much in that RecoN doesn't have the same sizable force sitting outside his opponent's base. But this is incredibly greedy with limited resources currently under your control. And it feels like BruH, if he wants to justify this long term, he's going to need to drop a keep over on the northeast side. Just because there's so much resource here, and he needs to access it soon. Because while 3 TCs is good if you're a greedy boy and you want to get all the presents for Christmas, Christmas is one day. And it feels that way when you're gathering this quickly because all of your initial resources dry up in the blink of an eye. So do your villager counts like this. Nice wrap-in from RecoN. He catches them off guard. Several villagers going down. Still, no textiles. You'd think at this stage, with 3, it would be worth it. And finally, BruH agrees. He is now going into the textiles investment. How many villagers would have been saved otherwise? With both of them sitting on the glorious 69 number. This is now an opportunity for BruH to start moving forward. RecoN is not investing in secondary TC. It looks like he is moving out with a villager force, though, to drop a keep and secure the big gold vein. Oh, and he should see this as well. BruH, what? I mean, in fairness, the keep is going to go up first. And the outpost also won't have defenses in place. And it looks like actually that outpost isn't going up at all as RecoN does react in the end. I do love the way that BruH's starting to kind of cover up the map like this, though. The outpost to control the flow, you know, spot out these raids early on, which he needs to, by the way. It's very important he sees these raids coming so that he can move these very slow, sluggish 1.12 movement speed units into position. But my issue is still there's no keep. He's getting the stone now. I really do think the drop is going to be over here. Near the boar, near the deer, near the double gold. But he needs to make it soon because you can see RecoN with this sort of dynamic force of knights and horsemen, he can reposition and deny you when you move out for that. Also, other important detail behind going here would be this. The trade is located on the opposite side. You want to maximize. So if anyone's considering, should BruH maybe start getting the trade? First of all, it does feel a little bit greedy with 3 TCs on top of this. But if you were to do it, I think it comes like another 10, 15 minutes away. And it has to be in this back corner. You have to optimize that route. And that's the other importance of this keep. I feel like BruH dropping a keep here, or being denied from dropping a keep here, changes everything about this game one way or the other. From being a stalemate into being very one-sided. RecoN now building the full military infrastructure, so he's going to shrink the distance to charge into his opponent's base. BruH still shifting out, trying to set up more of those outposts. Scout is going to spot some of this shenaniganing from BruH in the tree lines. The Mago is now coming out for RecoN. And BruH does not know about this. Nice little butchering, as it looked like RecoN was trying to play the vision game as well. He'll finally realize what the state of affairs is in the mid. BruH, are we reaching that awkward transition yet? He's still got 2 reserve golds. The problem with extracting these first is it means he's going to have to rush out to the center, where he might be a bit exposed. That's where the triple TC can be effective, though, because it means your villagers become throwaway trivial units, right? They really are filthy peasants that he just doesn't care about. Oh, the clergy, less so, though. And the villager, if he gets his shivs out, like, you'd be able to kill the monk quick enough. Oh, no, he doesn't need it. Ignore that. Who needs a shiv when you've got a sword? Doink. Now the outpost going up. BruH, it's a little bit problematic. He never secured this northern side. The map is going to shrink very quickly in the coming 5 minutes. Yes, he has got these reserve golds, but think about this logically. When you think the game is going to drag out and go later, what is the more effective play? Taking the safe resources and then 10 minutes from now having to move out into the contested territory, or taking the mid area while it's not contested, and then should you get forced off that, having fallback resources at the back of your base. This is why a lot of players tend to move towards those central resources fast if they have mid-map control, is they understand that if the game drags out past this point, past the initial leverage advantage, they will have safe resources. Their opponent is going to be stuck in no man's land, being fired upon from all sides. There we go. BruH, he's moving up. It's getting more greedy. College of Artillery now coming out. Meanwhile, look what RecoN has done. A very late secondary TC. It's not that bad, though, because now when you start to move out to these centralized resources, you're going to have throwaway villages as well. Some people might argue this seems a little bit too late, but his eco wasn't bad, right? Like, it's still a 20 eco lead for BruH. But RecoN has maintained the military force advantage for a very long time, and now he can gain some ground, moving in with the Mangonels. And this is the timing as well, right? He puts pressure on his opponent. He's going to catch him in the middle of a tech up, and it means he might be able to take a chunk of BruH's base away. You can see already Springles are being built up. And the moment RecoN sees that, it might deter him. You can see right now he is gathering on the stone. And it's going to be the red palace plopped on the front line. He rushes the villagers forward. This is a strong play right now. Tech up is complete, but remember, BruH, he didn't go for the defensive structure. He actually went into the College of Artillery, which gives you units that deal 20% more damage in their raw form. But it's only 1 siege workshop at the end of the day. Also, more importantly, you can't even produce all siege, right? Compared to a normal siege workshop, you can't get your Springles out. You can't get your Magos out. And that feels like a kind of a deal breaker. I feel like I'm a bigger fan of Red Palace 90% of the time, just because of defensive and aggressive usages compared to College of Artillery. In theory, College of Artillery, it kind of has that feeling of what Tower of Victory's debate was. Like, hyper late game, it's good because it's more efficient use of your pop cap because it's 20% more damage compared to the alternative units. But it's so limited. I don't know. I don't know if it would be too broken to allow Springles and Mangonels to be built here in raw form. But it might make this a little bit more of a sexy tier 4 landmark choice. Meanwhile, this one right here. Julu, Kulufe, Seswa. That was close enough. Because this is definitely a sexy Red Palace. It allows him to set up the base behind it. It gives him a fallback point right outside his opponent's base. And also, he's leveraged a lot of ground now. Look what he's getting here. All this wood, which he's already shifted all the villagers onto. And this was my worry. Look what's happening over here now. BruH, the area he probably should have had a keep down in a long time ago is going to be claimed by RecoN. RecoN is shrinking this map. BruH is running out of time. He's going to have to come out and play. He's going to have to do it soon. You have to question, is Trebs going to be quick enough? With this many villagers on the front, it's debatable. Especially considering your opponent's already doing it. He's already beaten you to the punchline, and he's now already breaching into your 4 TC. And wow, so he goes to the raw culverin first of all. Now, the range on this does seem good at 12 tiles range, but as we've seen, trebuchets have kind of become the true anti-siege, right? With the maximum range being up at 16. Like, if you find stationary trebs, you can start trading out against them. And it means these Royal Culverins that wheel around incredibly slowly are going to struggle to gap close and get in range of the Trebuchet in the first place. Especially when we look and check the speeds, 0.72, 0.72. So if the Treb starts running, you ain't gunning. BruH, finally he moves out. Onto the keep himself. He's got a lot more villagers coming as well. 26 compared to the 5, but RecoN did get a head start. However, at the end of this, lead will be for BruH. And he timed this perfectly. Any slower, and he would have been in deep waters. Surrounded by RecoN sharks. But instead, he gets the keep up. He snipes out of the villages, and it looks like the keep is not going to go up in time. RecoN, it's tight. He baits fire elsewhere, actually. They're focusing onto the night now, and it means he will be able to get the keep up himself, meaning BruH cannot access this area for resources yet. Oh my god, the final 2! That was too tight. This is really important as well. BruH needed these resources. We talked about it already, right? The gold vein at the back, he's only got that 4K remaining. Then he has to move out for the 4 and 8K here. And RecoN was wise to identify this. This is now awkward because BruH is going to have to peel forces off to deal with this, which will leave him weak to the incoming siege on the west side. Treb counts are increasing on both sides still. Siege left in position by BruH. The good news for him, RecoN does not have a hardcore cavalry composition to chase in and blow up all the siege. And it means he can shift across and maybe look to address what RecoN is now doing on the east side with his small battalion of knights. Now, when we look at the eco side of things, it should be, yeah, more or less even. So you can no longer worry about the villages. Both of them can replace them at a decent rate and throw them at the front line. It now becomes a count the finite resources game, right? How much gold is left? How much wood is left? Who has control over that? Right now, RecoN has kind of a dictatorial position in that regard. Territory has been carved up, and he has 2/3 of the map. Actually, more than that. Right? I'd say he has 2/3, and BruH is contesting part of his third over here. But he still doesn't have it secured. And it's because of this keep going up. And this probably should have never happened. Like, BruH, in theory, needed to be prepping for this area a lot sooner. And with the size of his economy, could have afforded to do so. But because he was so delayed, unless he brings Trebs over here to deal with this, he's not going to be able to breach out and move on to new wood lines, which he needs direly. Like, you could go for this back wood line, but that should be your last resort. And that's why the Trebs are moving forward now. Question is whether RecoN's going to make a move. Like, he's got a sizable siege force over here. And BruH has moved everything to the eastern front. RecoN could actually move in right now and do some serious damage. Essentially just taking away the southern corner, right? Like, he could actually move in, drop a keep. He has 800 stone. He could actually drop it over here after deleting this one. It's going to be hard for BruH to respond quick enough, it feels like. But RecoN now going on the move in. Ambush out the tree line that BruH can barely see into. And instantly a bunch of villages are going to go down. More outposts being built up, but Treb's quick to snipe those out. Keep now being built up by RecoN as he starts to get a strong point, a push-in point into his opponent's base. But needs to address that keep. Needs the Trebs in range, firing upon it, and that's what they're doing right now. Shift back from BruH. He got rid of the keep on the east side. He has resources. He's able to recover, and it comes at a perfect timing here. Because with this pushing on the west side, he needs gold elsewhere, and that's what he's going to find on the backside here. Calming moment. RecoN gets the second keep up. Trebs are going to start opening fire again, though. Only 3 on each side. Wait. Okay, this one's drunk driving. Okay, someone took a toilet break. He'll be on the front line ready to fire soon. Interesting enough, though, RecoN not really finding a quick breach here. Slowly just taking out buildings, stables, outposts, not rushing down that keep so he can flood through. Right now, BruH does look healthy, but the question mark is going to be who has more resources at the end of the trades, right? That's what's going to really matter here at this rate. And with all sacred sites now under the control of RecoN, he's going to force BruH's attention somewhere. And he can't just react with 1 or 2 troops. You can see the outpost set up on the sacred site. It means he's going to have to send a small but respectable force over to deal with that. And that means you're going to be pop-capped in the main combat. Spring ults. Trading out ineffectively for RecoN here. RecoN. Do not show your back to the enemy. That is not in Sun Tzu's Art of War. At least, not the main version. Maybe the version written with crowns would have that written in it. But I'm pretty sure that was me that wrote that one. Trade outs in the meantime. Most Springle's gone. Focus on the Culverins now as well. 400 health on these. They're pretty damn tanky, though. That means trades do go the way of BruH. Flash in the center. Mangonel's opening fire. Mangonel's that cannot join in for RecoN because he no longer has anti-siege, and he's lost all of his Springles now. That means RecoN is going to back away. So BruH able to hold for the moment. And I don't know, RecoN. I feel like we need to talk about this. I want you to think for a second what's different between your Arbitrators and BruH's. Gold equal first place. Silver equal first place loser. He needs to get them up into elite status. They're still not there. And they've been this way for quite a while. Oh my goodness. I think RecoN just hasn't noticed. Maybe he's just not a fan of like gold and red. He doesn't think it looks as good as gold and blue. I kind of get where he's coming from, you know, like the royal Egyptian kind of color scheme. Silver and red is a little bit less in your face. However, because you haven't gone for the more in-your-face choice, it means that BruH can very easily get in your face and decimate you in an even fight between Arbors right now. Red Palace goes down again. BruH looking to wiggle on out. Villagers forced to pull forward. A lot of Springwood upgrades here. It's going to sting him, though. But he needed to. He needed to decap the Sacred Site. There's still a goddamn monk sitting on this the entire time. Don't mind me. You wouldn't dare attack a man of the clergy. The peasants, however, they'll attack plenty of them. And oh my god, BruH, down to 69 villagers. He's almost been doubled up now by RecoN. And you can see it in the numbers as well. He's starved. These people right here, they aren't burning this down because they were ordered to do so. It's because BruH, he was crafty. He went, hey, I know you're all starving, but I hear that RecoN's got a bunch of food stored in that outpost. That's why they're so eager to give their lives just to burn through it. They're hoping, they're praying there's food inside it. But I got bad news for you folks. There is no food here. It was all a lie. The cake was a damn lie. And now we get into the marketplaces. This is what BruH was doing this for. This is the real reason. He's done with villagers. They're not serving the purpose anymore. There's no resources easily for him to exploit. So now he has to set up the trade network. But if he wants to do this, he's going to need to get a new keep up and some stone walls because it's been breached on the east side again. The Trebs wheeled over. RecoN understands exactly what his opponent is doing because he jumped the gun. He started doing it before he finished the outposts. And this is what he sees. Everything. And now you're in a fragile state. You know, transitions can feel wonky, sometimes at the best of times. The trade transition especially is so awkward to achieve when you're under pressure like this. Even more so when your opponent knows that you're doing it. Because that snitching, it means that this heavy investment, 150 resources each, is going to put you down the drain at the beginning. You got to query, would it have been worthwhile instead dropping a bunch of markets right next to the trade post and then setting the home trade to this marketplace? That would have at least half the distance to return the investment. And for an initial extra investment of 600 wood, just get the payback on these traders much quicker. I feel like it would have been worthwhile. But instead now, like, you're not even getting the trade online. RecoN's quick to move across. He will deny you in this area. And all of a sudden, BruH, that runway is getting a lot shorter. I don't think we're going to be clear for takeoff, bud. RecoN is just superior on the gather. You can see it as well. BruH, he's going to be starved on the gold. He might have the royal artillery. Doesn't count for much if you can't afford the pricey investment, though. You know, royal things tend to be quite lucrative, quite expensive in the terms they live. Right now, BruH, he's entering a state of peasantry, right? It's frugal in the French economy. In fact, at this rate, BruH might just ask the Arbitrators if they can just throw their golden hats into a furnace and melt it down, because it turns out we're running out of gold fast. There we go. Even moving in now, making sure that the trade route isn't going to be secure because BruH never set up a new keep, never set up outposts. And remember, with the changes that came with the patch, with incomplete structures taking a lot more damage, now incomplete structure taking 50% more damage, it's very difficult for you to rush a keep up when your opponent is firing upon you. And should you fail to get it up, should too much damage come in initially, it costs you the 800 stone. You get nothing for it. Not that BruH can afford 800 stone right now. He's not even gathering on it. Govern does at least find one of the Trebs. The Trebs found so much value. With the Arbiters as well, there's only one marketplace left. And what do you do after that? I mean, BruH, he really needed the stone gathering first, leading to the keep. He jumped the gun, shifting from villages rather to trade. And you can see the effect now. Like, he never really recovered that eco loss, even though he was playing on multi-TC. Villagers are going to be exposed. Springles are attacking the spearmen. However, there are enough spears here to do some damage to sting RecoN a little bit. RecoN will probably come back with a vengeance. You can see he's already shifting to the west side. He sees a possible entry point here. We'll react to the small vanguard of BruH moving forward. But after that, like, surely you can just cut off any trade. And that trade has been cut off at the waist. And it feels like a waste now. Look at this, 13 gold. 13 pennies. Oh, you are getting cents on the dollar, my friend. This was not the trade route that BruH had in mind. I'm going to stop looking at it. It's just depressing the longer we look at it. I mean, BruH will be lucky if he can afford a $5 BruH at this rate. RecoN now shifting the counter. Elite Horseman upgrade comes out. And BruH, it feels like RecoN is turning into Illidan as he yells, "You are not prepared." And he really isn't. There's just not enough spearmen here. BruH is in a world of trouble. Because even that 13 gold is going to be nothing soon. It's not hard now for RecoN to raid in. Horsemen, remember, are quick movers. They can gap close upon you in the blink of an eye. While this is happening, BruH is going on deep adventures into RecoN's baselines, hoping to find some value himself, but it's so much slower and it's so much less impressive. And he's in. Small contingent to hold the main Arbiters at bay, and then the Knights and the Horsemen ride in, and not only are they going to find the little tradey boys, they're going to find the traitors as well. They say, why didn't you join the Red French? The Red French are just better. Okay, most people were just shaking their fists at that statement, but they're looking better in this game. And that gold, oh my good lord. It's so many villagers dead, so many traders going down as well. Even though you have buffered RecoN away, what was the cost? Because remember, also these traders that you lose, it's not just about the gold loss now. It's the wood. Look at his income on wood. We highlighted this at an earlier point. It's the budgeted resource of Age of Empires 4. And RecoN has put away enough to keep his fire warm through the winter. BruH is close to just freezing out. And that's why he has to keep all of the siege alive. Any siege dying is such a big hit to the blue player here. Meanwhile, RecoN can just afford to keep throwing away troops. BruH, I don't remember the last time I saw him pop capped. Like, his population never at max. The only thing at max in this is his heart rate. He might keel over at any second because this has to be getting stressful. BruH now going for the stone walls that maybe should have been there a long time sooner. RecoN, it might not be the most decisive of moves the way that he's winning this, but it's safe. It's stable, it's steady, it's effective. And now he will go into trade, and BruH will even see it, but there's nothing he can do about it. All he can do is marvel in the juicy gold returns that RecoN is making compared to BruH. Remember, BruH, he's making 13 gold per caravan run. For double the distance, it feels like. Almost double the distance, maybe a little bit more in fairness. RecoN is returning 152 resource. And that's why the income per minute, oh my god. Folks, RecoN has more gold income per minute than BruH has collectively of every other resource combined. This is damning right now. In fact, RecoN has over 3 times the total income per minute that BruH does. And this is the weakness of not playing for that midsection a little bit earlier, of not contesting it. It's padded RecoN for so damn long that he's just ready to enter cruise mode at this stage in the game. He can set up trade. He can do no wrong. BruH can find no right. I mean, at least for now, he'll find the right side of his map, but the question mark is how long will it last again? This is kind of the state of Siege, right? Like, you can see nobody wants to throw it away. RecoN can afford to. Now, the stone walls are going to slow things down, and it's a good timing for BruH because RecoN was switching up into the Horseman. I feel like BruH himself really would benefit from Horseman, actually. His opponent is producing a lot of ranged and Siege. The only way you're going to beat him out is with infinite resource scaling more than anything else. Like, this trade, it's hard to achieve regularly. You need a layering, a padding in the meantime, and Horseman could be the answer. Maybe it's because he's hesitant about the investment of 1,000 to get to elite status, but even veteran Horseman could chase through and get deep. And even if they threw away their lives to take out 10, 20 of these caravans that are going on the side of RecoN's map, it's still good enough. You need to stop him from gathering like this, because eventually he's going to build up so much surplus that the only way RecoN loses this game is if he accidentally trips over his plug and switches his PC off. And it really feels like we're already at that stage, doesn't it, folks? BruH playing towards the choke point, being baited out, needs to be careful. The Mangonel fire could end him in a flash. Heavy fire coming out, but not into the Arbor of the Tree. It's the second fire white, though. He needs to be careful. Shifts away just in time. Corvoran's wheeling out right now, but RecoN retreats into the forest that BruH cannot spot him in. Once again, that red pass is red with blood and orange with flames. People happy to know that I'm not colorblind. BruH. The Corvorans, they're all exposed! No! What's happening? Oh, no! That stings! That hits heavy, folks. 4, maybe even 5 Corvorans going down here. 1,000 resource. Flush down the toilet. I don't think you even have a toilet big enough to get that much down it. But BruH's found a way. Now, the only good news, of course, is he has built up a surplus of gold now after all that. But the wood. Wood is the problem here. He could move on to strike the trees. He still has got these reserves. He just hasn't used them. Oh, my Gideon. He's only now getting on him with 11 villagers. He can't go for the eastern ones anymore. He's denied here. Cannon's looking to breach through. They've understood the weakness of what BruH's done here. No tempo control in the mid game. No elimination of RecoN Siege. It means that RecoN never has to fight directly into your strongest point. Instead, he can just come at you from the east or the west. Whichever one's best in the given moment. If he pleases, and he most definitely does. And this will probably please a lot of viewers, as they probably felt this game has gone on a lot longer than need be. But with this strike in, RecoN can once again deny BruH income. Vital income at this stage. And BruH is already struggling because he can't easily trade anymore. You're just seeing what's happening here, right? Look how much he has to pay for the wood. 140 plus. Stone, even more. So even with this big surplus of gold, there's limited amounts of value to be found in it, as the trades get worse and worse the more you do it. And by the way, RecoN could make these trades worse at any given point. Remember that the market is shared trade. So if RecoN starts buying a resource, it gets more pricey for BruH as well. Oh, and BruH on an expedition here. Wheelers dealers, as Cannon's going to try to move away. They are going to be burnt down. It's almost like RecoN's just flexing right now. It's like, I can afford to replace these. You cannot. The villagers will finally react. Knight's going to shift around, so that force is going down. And BruH, wood was a problem before. Food just joined him as well. His food is non-existent, it feels like. He can never build an army quick enough. I think for the last, I don't even know how long, I have not seen him at 200 pop cap. Half a game, it feels like. BruH will be reluctant to give this one over. It is looking dire, but remember, folks, this is an elimination game. Lose this, and you are out of round 2. That's why BruH is not willing to wave that white flag. A lot of players might have already. They might have embraced World War II France. But BruH, he's trying to be Napoleonic-era France. However, I think RecoN has already acquired that rank. And these elite Royal Knights are completely unanswered now. 364 health. Even the counter spears is not going to be quick enough. The arbaletiers as well are not going to be good enough. Cannons move in onto the keep. BruH, if he loses this trade area, he's done. He knows he won't be able to float enough additional resources to return what has been lost. And this time, RecoN, he's not shuffling left. He's not shuffling right. He's down for the fight. And he is looking all right as he moves in. Village are going to be butchered. Arbaletier is going to be forced to peel back here. Trebuchet is just wheeling off into the unknown. BruH's like, where are you going? To a new map, to a new owner. I don't like you anymore. As they are doing absolutely nothing, BruH. It's just like, take these units and leave me alone for 5 more minutes. I don't think that would even change anything. It has taken a long time to get here. We are close to the hour mark. But you're starting to see BruH crumble. He's almost under 100 eco. He can't, 100 pop rather. He can't replace what's lost. It's the food. It's always been the food. In the age of Siege, it turns out food is the limiting factor here, as BruH simply cannot sustain a front line to protect him any longer. And the flurry of troops rushing through is just getting bigger as BruH gets smaller. I mean, it was a nice idea, the trade switch up, but BruH, it really does come back to that mid-game. Too much map control, forfeited over too quickly. Did not fall back to this later on. Instead, relying upon it now will cost him this game, cost him the series, and cost him any opportunity to go deeper in round 2 of Golden League, as RecoN will eliminate BruH. Oh, unfortunate for the BruH fans. You know, I thought maybe we'd see him go a little bit deeper, but RecoN, I've got to give it to him. The way he played this was very methodical. Now, I wouldn't say this was, you're going to be #1 in the world, RecoN. No offense to him. It was more of a, how to put this? At the midfield, RecoN is looking better. At the highest end, this type of playstyle won't work. I think at the highest end, the top 10, the top 20 in this event, a lot of these players are going to be very good at ensuring you get punished for being this stagnant. Now, Highview is a map that can allow for this stagnation, but I feel a lot of this stagnation was brought on by the way that BruH played the 20 to 30 minute mark. He got his tech up, he got his bounce back, but he didn't really do much with it. Some of this is credit to RecoN and the way that he kind of just shoved his opponent into a corner, but also, there were ways in which BruH could have alleviated this. The keep to the northeast side would have given him vital resources a lot earlier. He could have transitioned a horseman and raided into his opponent's loose economy. He never really took advantage of any of this. Instead, his attention was always drawn to exactly where RecoN was, and it meant that RecoN was dictating everything. Remember, if you want to win, proactivity over reactivity. If all you're doing is adjusting to what your opponent is doing, the best case scenario in 95% of the situations is going to be that you break even. You need to find a way to get an edge. And I felt that although BruH made some transitions to address what RecoN was doing, it was never a double wham factor. It was never a, I'm countering what you're doing, and now I'm doing something with it. RecoN also wasn't necessarily doing this. He was reacting but wasn't gaining more ground, but because he had more ground already, it turns into a natural resource slog where he has the clear edge and thus takes the series in a very late game situation on Highview.